How Putin's war strategy is killing Europe and the US. Putin has been using an incredibly effective war strategy against his enemies, both foreign and domestic, which will spell disaster for the world if it continues to be successful. The more success he has with this strategy, the harder it will be to stop him and the more powerful Russia will become. In order to defeat Putin's war strategy and prevent the world from becoming dominated by Russia, it's necessary to understand how it works and why it works so well. Before I proceed, if this is your first time on my channel, consider subscribing for more informative video. Let's dive in and look at Putin's war strategy in detail. What happened in Georgia? Russia invaded Georgia in 2008 after Georgia tried to retake its region South Ossetia and Abkhazia. With the help of arms from Russia, South Ossetia turned into a breakaway republic, joining forces with Russia, which meant that there was a part of Georgia that was now Russian-occupied. The European Union has been clear about this invasion being an act of aggression. Even though Russia withdrew its troops back to their own territory, it still occupies 20% of Georgian territory as well as 25% of Ukraine's territory in Crimea, also through military force. The United States condemned these invasions as violations of international law. What happened in Ukraine? In 2014, Russia invaded Ukraine by annexing Crimea in a land grab. In response, EU members imposed sanctions on Russia to impose economic pressure in an attempt to make Putin end his aggression. This has so far failed because despite international sanctions, Russian companies have continued to invest in Ukraine. One explanation for this is that the sanctions mainly target exports from European countries to Russia but not exports from other countries into Russia. Another factor may be that these sanctions target Russian individuals but not its state-owned corporations. Why did it happen? Russia's interference in European and American affairs has been a key feature of Putin's rise to power. Russia had always been interested in what was happening in Europe, but a sudden interest spurred by its economic woes led it to take a more active stance than ever before. Eastern European states were especially vulnerable to this aggression as they were only just getting on their feet after having achieved independence from the Soviet Union. By 2008, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania and Poland had all suffered repeated cyberattacks on government websites. In 2007 alone there were 73 incidents of Russian espionage on NATO headquarters in Brussels. Was Trump involved? A good way to interpret Trump's lack of condemnations regarding Russian aggression towards its neighbors is that he tacitly supports it. It is possible that his behavior reflects self-interest, as there has been an ongoing collusion scandal in regards to his ties with Russia. If this theory proves to be true, then it has a negative impact on the security of not only American democracy but European democracy as well. The consequences of this will be widespread. Russia has long sought to undermine Western democracy. Its attempts to influence Western elections, along with its brazen attacks on democracy in Ukraine, should have sounded alarm bells across all sectors of society. Sadly, until recently they have largely been ignored. It was only when a number of European countries reported Russian interference in their own elections that concern began to rise. Since then, evidence has emerged that the Russians are not just interfering but are also involved in hacking and cyber attacks. The problem is getting worse. How will we stop him next time? In order to defend ourselves against this type of attack, a strong cybersecurity policy must be put in place. Working together, we can strengthen international borders so that criminals have a harder time crossing over. Additionally, citizens in both countries should research which websites are safe before using them to avoid any consequences from these types of attacks. Along with understanding how this type of hacking works, we also need to work on prevention methods so that it does not happen again. It will take a collaborative effort for us to come up with new ways to secure our data without sacrificing speed or convenience, but it's not impossible.
We see a gap between Putin's short-term military goals in this area and the capabilities of his military, a type of mismatch between his ambitions and what the force can achieve, she added. According to Haynes, 3 scenarios are possible, with the most likely one being a protracted battle in which Russian forces make incremental gains, with no breather. The other options include a significant Russian victory and Ukraine stabilizing the front lines while making modest gains, maybe close to the Russian-held city of Kherson and other southern Ukrainian regions.
Putin also claimed that the US was trying to maintain its hegemonic status in the world and that the West wanted to extend its bloc system of defense, such as the NATO military alliance, into Asia. We also see that the collective West is seeking to extend its bloc system to the Asia-Pacific region similarly to NATO in Europe. For this purpose, bellicose military-political alliances are being formed, such as AUKUS and the others, Putin claimed, referencing the trilateral security pact between Australia, the UK and US that was signed last year. In addition, he said US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's recent visit to Taiwan, which angered Russia's ally China, had been a thoroughly planned provocation, saying such a reckless trip was part of a purposeful, conscious strategy of the United States to destabilize and chaotize the situation in the region and the world and an insolent demonstration of disrespect for the sovereignty of other countries and for its international obligations. Putin once again defended Moscow's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, claiming it was being carried out to ensure the security of Russia and our citizens.
Thanks for watching. See you on my upcoming videos. Peace.